Well, hello there, and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. This video is going to be a tutorial about a map making tip. I'm not going to go through necessarily every command and where to put it, but I'm just going to kind of show you the overview of this technique. And what this technique is for is detecting what difficulty the player is playing in. Now, in a previous video, I showed you guys how to test if they're in peaceful mode or not using this. But other than peaceful mode, there's still three other modes, easy, normal, and hard. So if you want to detect exactly what difficulty they're in, there's no easy way to do it. What you have to do is check for all the ones you can check for, and then by process of elimination, figure out which one they're in. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you can check for peaceful mode, the way I showed you, and that'll tell you whether it's in peaceful mode or not. You can check for hard mode, because only in hard mode can zombies break down doors. And so that'll let you tell you whether it's in hard mode or not. But other than that, you still have easy and normal mode. And there's no good way to test there's no good way to test for easy or normal mode, because all the special things that happen in normal mode also happen in hard mode. And there's nothing special that happens in easy mode. So yeah, you have to use a little process of elimination. But let me show you how this works. So this is the design I showed you before in the other video. Basically, this tests for peaceful mode by summoning in persistent zombies. Now, in previous versions of Minecraft before 1.9, if you set no AI to true, like I have here, the zombies would not fall. They would have no gravity, and this wouldn't work. So instead of using no AI, I had to use a attribute modifier to set their speed way down to the point where they couldn't walk because they were going too slowly. But attribute modifiers are a little complicated to read and to write. So luckily in 1.9, if you set no AI on a mob, they will still be affected by gravity now, so you can just use that. So this summons in a no AI zombie so that it won't run away. I made it silent just to be quiet. And you have to make it persistent so they don't despawn. And that's very important, because if you have a persistent zombie in a place where the player won't be, then the only way they'll ever despawn is if you set the mode to peaceful. So if you set the difficulty to peaceful, all hostile mobs, including zombies, despawn instantly. And so that'll be the only way. And so by having a pressure plate down here, you can test whether they've actually switched into peaceful mode or not. So this is constantly summoning it, but only if it has redstone. And so 20 times a second it's trying to spawn a zombie, but then because I'm in peaceful mode, it's despawning and not hitting that. Now if I switch out of peaceful mode, this guy will fall onto this pressure plate, which tells us that we are not in peaceful mode anymore. It also turns off this torch, which stops spawning zombies. In addition, when that torch turns back on, so if you were not in peaceful mode, and now you switch to peaceful mode, the zombie will despawn, which will unpress that pressure plate, and that torch will turn back on and try to spawn more zombies again. But when that torch turns back on, it'll also trigger this impulse command block that says, hey, you're in peaceful mode. Now, in all of these examples, I'm just having it output the result, whether figured out like which mode you're in, into the chat. So this is just a thing that says peaceful, but you can do whatever you want with that output. For example, if you found out that, hey, yes, I'm in peaceful mode, you can set a scoreboard value to that or something to let you know. And then you can check that later, do whatever you want with the information. I'm just showing you how to get the information. So that's how you detect whether you're in peaceful or not. Now, this detects whether you're in hard mode or not. And the way it does that is by constantly replacing a zombie here. Now, I'm in peaceful mode, so it's despawning instantly and then trying to be replaced. That's why it's flashing. If I were not in peaceful mode, excuse me. If I were not in peaceful mode, that zombie would stay, and I have a little circuit here that just checks to see whether the zombie has already been spawned, and then make sure that it only spawns another one if there is no zombie. That's very important, because if you spawn in multiple zombies here, it won't work, because this relies on the fact that in hard mode, zombies with a certain NBT tag, specifically can break doors, zombies with that tag will be able to break down wooden doors. But if you have multiple zombies and they're all trying to break down the door at the same time, they'll actually cancel each other out. And so, like, if you have two zombies, one hits the door and it starts to break, the other one hits the door, it'll reset it as if it had only been hit once. And so it'll actually stop them from breaking down the door. So that's why I have this little circuit here, so that it only summons in a single zombie when there are no zombies. I wish you could have a conditional block, a conditional command block, sort of that is inverted, so it triggers if the success is not true, you know, if the previous command block was false, but there isn't, so you have to use a comparator for that, and so that's why I have this system, and I'm using a slow clock here so to make sure it only summons one zombie at a time. And then, yeah, and then what I have is, like I said, in hard mode, the zombies will be able to break down doors. So I have a villager here. So the zombies will always be trying to get after that villager. But in any mode other than hard, they won't be able to. In hard mode, they will break down this door to do it. And then this command block tests to see if there's air one block above it. Now normally there's a door there, so that will be false. But as soon as that door is broken by a zombie, which means it's in hard mode, that will be true. And then, if that's true, we have this conditional block here that automatically replaces the bottom half of the wooden door, and then the next block in the chain, also conditional, replaces the top half of the wooden door. That's what the 8 is. The data value for a top half of a door is 8. The data value for a bottom half is 0. Now you are going to have to build this in a certain direction. So the zombie is going to have to be in the negative X, and the villager in the positive X. It has to be along that axis because of the data values for doors. So different data values tell it to hinge on a different direction. So if you build this in a different direction, you're going to have to change the data values. So, you know, if you understand that stuff, you can look on the wiki and they show all the data values for the different directions and different halves of doors. If you don't, just make sure you build it along the x-axis with the zombie in the negative direction and the villager in the positive direction. But yeah, so when that door is broken down, it immediately gets, you know, it detects it with this by checking for air, replaces the bottom half and replaces the top half. Then it says hard mode, because we know we're in hard mode because that door was just broken down. And then here we kill all zombies called hard zombie in a radius of 10, and that just kills the zombie before it gets a chance to actually attack the player, because once it breaks down the door, it actually will move through the door before it's replaced the next tick. And so it'll actually try to kill your villager, and if it kills your villager, then the entire system breaks, because now you have a zombie sitting around that has nothing to attack, so it's not going to try to break down a door. So yeah, so we just, after detecting that it's hard mode, we kill the hard zombies in the range, and then this will detect that there is no zombie and replace them, and the system starts all over again. So it's not instant. The zombies do take a little bit to break down the door, but it is at regular intervals, so you should be fine. It's pretty quick. So if we switch to hard mode, we'll see how long it takes. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this off because the sound of them breaking a door doesn't stop when you make them quiet. So, yeah, so you can see in right about here, it says hard mode. So it was detected and everything was fine and it worked. Because it is loud, I suggest that you put this in your spawn chunks and build your level far away so nobody hears it, because there is no way to make that silent. But yeah, So it takes about 15 seconds or so. I think different zombies will break it down at different speeds depending on their strength. I'm not sure about that though. But yeah. So, but every 15 seconds or so, you will be able to tell that it's in hard mode, and again, this is just outputting it, but you can attach that to whatever commands or redstone devices you want. And yeah, so that detects hard mode, and that detects, and that detects peaceful mode. But let's say you're not in hard mode, and you're not in peaceful mode. How do we know whether you're in normal or easy? So that's where this comes in. You'll notice there are a lot of villagers in here, and if I switch out of peaceful mode, there are going to be very soon, yep, you can see behind them there are a lot of zombies. And again, because of the sound, I'm going to set this to peaceful. And they all die. So yeah. The hard part about easy mode, or rather about differentiating between easy and normal mode, is that other than the amount of damage that enemies give to you, there's not much difference between the two. Like in hard mode, you have that special ability of zombies to break down doors. That's not in any other mode, so we can use that. In peaceful mode, there's that special event where all zombies and other hustle mobs, even persistent ones, despawn, and that's not in any other mode, so we can check that. But between easy and normal mode, there's not much difference other than amount of damage, and since the amount of damage for a given entity varies for the mob, it's kind of hard to, test that. However, there is one thing you can test, which is when a zombie kills a villager in easy mode, it will never produce a zombie villager. In normal mode, there is a chance that it will. However, it's not guaranteed. In hard mode, it's guaranteed to produce a zombie villager, but in normal mode, it is not. It has a percentage chance. So what we do here is we just kind of play the odds by summoning 50 zombies and 50 villagers at all times. There will never be less than 50 zombies and 50 villagers in here at any given time. And that means the zombies will constantly be attacking the villagers. Now if you look, you can see all the villagers are facing the same way. That's because they all have no AI set. Although they do seem to be pushing each other, but yeah. They have no AI set. The zombies, however, do have AI, so that they will attack the villagers, and because it's happening with 50 at a time, and it's constantly being replenished, you just get a constant check of, of whether any of them can turn into a zombie villager. If you're in easy or peaceful, you will never get a zombie villager. If you're in peaceful, the zombies won't even spawn. And if you're in easy, the zombies will spawn, but they'll never produce a zombie villager. If you're in easy, then every once in a while, if you're in normal, then every once in a while, one of these will turn into a zombie villager. You can detect that, and then you know that you are either in normal or hard. You don't know which one, though. But that means you're not in easy mode. Excuse me. And so, basically how we do this, the commands for this at least, we have a scoreboard value called zombie count, which is going to keep track of how many zombies and how many villagers are in this box. So every tick on a repeating command block, we set this zombie count fake player, we set their zombie count score to 0, and then we execute on all zombies called easy zombie, which is the one that we're going to spawn in this box. And for each of those, we add 1 to the zombie count score of the zombie count player. So what that does is by the time this command finishes, zombie count will have a zombie count score equal to the number of zombies in there, and then we can use that to count them. So then we test whether zombie count value is between 0 and 49, so less than 50, and if so, then we summon in an easy zombie. And And so in this case, I've made them silent because 50 zombies in a box is very loud. So I made them silent. And then you also have to specify that isVillager is false or 0. If you don't do this, then occasionally a zombie will randomly spawn that is already a villager. And so you'll detect that, and it'll say it's not easy mode, even though it might be because they were already a zombie villager. So yeah, this just makes sure that all the zombies you spawn are never villagers. And then we basically do the same thing, but with this fake player villager count, and we execute that on villagers called isVillager. So this will count the number of villagers in our box, and if it is between 0 and 49, so less than 50, if our villager count is between 0 and 49, then we summon a villager. Now, these villagers have no AI, and they're called isVillager. They're also silent, but importantly, their age is set to 1. So, villagers work similarly to other breedable mobs, in that whether they are a baby or an adult depends on their age. So if they have a negative age, they're a baby. If they have a positive age, they are an adult. And so basically, I just do this to make sure they are all adults, because if you have a baby villager, I don't think they'll turn into zombie villagers. So to make sure that doesn't happen, we set their age to 1. So all the villagers we put in this box are going to be adults, and they will have no AI, so they're not going to run away, and they'll just basically sit there and get eaten by zombies. And so that, from this block all the way down to the repeat block, this whole thing is just to keep exactly 50 villagers and 50 zombies in this box. Once we have that, experimental setup there, then we can test for a zombie called isVillager. So what happens is, isVillager is the name we gave to the villagers, but not the zombies. So when a villager turns into a zombie, it will keep its name of isVillager, but it will become a zombie. So if we find a zombie called isVillager that has isVillager 1, technically you shouldn't need this check, because the only way to get a zombie named isVillager will be if a villager turned into it. But just in case, we also check to make sure it's a villager zombie. And so if that's true, a villager has turned into a zombie, which doesn't happen on easy mode, and so therefore we can say, conditionally, that this is not easy mode. And again, this is just outputting it to the chat for demo. And then when that happens, we kill off all the isVillagers and all the isZombies and let it refill. Otherwise, if you say we're in hard mode and you got a bunch of zombie villagers in here, and then you switch to easy mode, those zombie villagers will still be there. And so it'll confuse the system. So whenever we detect that there is a zombie villager in there, we kill off all the villagers that we created and all the zombies that we created and let it restock naturally, so that it won't carry over into the next detection. So yeah, so this will tell us if we're not in easy mode, which means we're either in peaceful, normal, or hard. This will tell us whether we're in hard, and this will tell us whether we're in peaceful. So if we're not in peaceful, we're not in hard, and we're not in easy, then we know we must be in normal mode. If we're in hard, we can detect that directly. If we're in peaceful, we can detect that directly. And so the only thing is, if we're not in peaceful, and we're not in hard, and this hasn't told us that we're not in easy mode, then we are probably in easy mode. So that's the only thing that's a little tricky, because we might not be, right? We might be in normal mode and just haven't gotten a zombie villager yet. We can only test, when we get the zombie villager, we know we're not in easy mode. But until we get that zombie villager, we might be in normal and just have gotten unlucky. So what you should be doing is assuming you're in easy mode until one of these 3 devices tells you otherwise. And then if all of these becomes false, then you assume you're in normal mode. So that's how you would do the process of elimination on this. So let's say instead of outputting to the chat, like I had before, with all of those not easy mode, peaceful, hard, all that, instead of outputting to the chat, you set scoreboard values. So let's say this sets a scoreboard value for not peaceful or peaceful. So we'll have a peaceful scoreboard value. This one will set it to 1. This one will set it to 0. Then you have a hard scoreboard value, which this sets to 1. And then anytime this gets set to peaceful, then you know you're not in hard mode. So this should also reset the hard value to 0. And then have this set, instead of saying not easy mode, set an easy scoreboard value to 0. And then what you want to do is just set it to 1 at regular intervals, and then have this reset it. So for a short period of time, you may be assuming you're in easy mode and not be. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. There's just no way. So, also, if you're in peaceful, you can reset easy and normal as well. So if you're in peaceful, reset easy and normal. If you're in hard, reset easy, normal, and peaceful. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. Let me start over. In order to use process of elimination to figure out what mode you're in, every time this triggers and says you're in peaceful, then you know you're not in easy, normal, or hard, so you can set those all to 0. Every time this triggers and says you're in hard, you can reset easy, normal, and peaceful to 0. Every time this turns off, you know that you're not in peaceful, so you can set peaceful to 0. And every time this triggers, you can set easy to 0. Now, none of those actually sets easy to 1, so what you should be doing is, anytime peaceful and hard are both 0, you should be setting easy to 1, and then only turning it off from here. And at the time you turn off easy mode, you check to see if hard and peaceful are also 0, and if so, then set normal to 1. And so basically, if you do that, which I understand it's kind of convoluted, but there is no other way that I know of to check for difficulty. So if you do that, and you have these 3 machines running constantly, then there should only be like a second or two at any given time when you don't have the correct value of their difficulty level. Otherwise, you should always get it right. Unfortunately, I wish there were a better way to detect the mode. Especially with this whole easy and normal thing. I wish there was a way to tell the difference, but there's really not, because, again, other than having this 0% chance, there's nothing else that's guaranteed to be different at any time between normal and easy mode, other than amount of damage taken. So, you do what you got to do. So if you really need to detect not whether they're specifically in peaceful mode or hard mode, but if you need to detect which mode they're in, combine all 3 of these, do a lot of convoluted process of elimination logic with your scoreboards, and yeah, you should be fine. I recorded this video 3 times because I couldn't get my head around that last logic piece. I'm still not sure if I got it, but I think I did, and hopefully you guys did too. If not, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to explain it in writing. Hopefully it'll be easier to sort out. But yeah, so this is how you would do it. Put all these in your spawn chunks, and you're fine. So until next time, hold on. Until next time, keep being difficult. Keep redstoning.